Hi, and welcome back. It's been a long time. I'm so sorry. Things have been super crazy. So, as some of you know, my guy had his leg amputated below the knee in February. And I just wanted to talk about what it's been like recovering from that, because it's been a learning experience. So I'm going to tell you some things that we all, including our cat, have learned about living with somebody who's had an amputation. So I mentioned the cat. She found out the hard way. So she got stepped on, and because there's no feeling, he can't feel anything down there where that fake leg is. He didn't know he was standing on her until she yowled, and I guess it kind of hurt her a little bit. So she's learned to be a little bit more careful when he's walking around. Ooh, bugs out here today. So she's learned to be a little more careful when he's walking around, because it could be dangerous for her. When you are recovering from an amputation, this is actually a constant, or at least for us for now, a period of constant change. So to give you an example, when you first come out of the surgery, the stump is just flat. They cut the bone off straight, and they wrap the skin around the end, and you have kind of a flat surface there on the end of the stump. But what they want to happen is they want that stump to kind of go into a cone shape. So there is a process that is started, and you have to wear, they call it a shrinker sock. It's kind of like a compression sock. It's a real heavy knit stretch material, and because his is for his leg, I don't know what it's like for an arm, but it has a band. It's a pretty wide band, maybe about 2 inches around the top, that has on the inside, it has a material that keeps it from sliding down, kind of like some of those ladies' hose, only thicker, obviously. But it's like, there's ladies' hose that aren't really pantyhose, but you don't need a garter with those. Kind of like what's on the top of that, if you happen to be a lady or somebody who wears those kind of hose. But yeah, there's they're little, I don't know what it's made out of. I'll say plastic, but it might not be plastic. It might be silicone. Nubbies on this band around the top, and it keeps that shrinker sock from sliding down. And that's vitally important, because for a lot of reasons, this is going to be a continuous thing for him. Piece of wardrobe for him that he'll have to have for the rest of his life, because what it does is it compresses the tissue in that part of the leg, so that, first of all, to get it into that shape that they want it to be in. And I'm not even really sure why it should be in that shape, but that's what they explained to us. But also because that keeps his leg small enough to fit inside the cup of the prosthesis. So for instance, we were talking as we're learning about it, and one of the people at the clinic where he got his prosthesis was also a leg amputee, and he was explaining that if he ate something salty, say the day before, and he's retaining fluid, it may be difficult to get that prosthesis on the next day, because he was a little puffy. So you always want to make sure that when you're not wearing the prosthesis, that you have that compression or shrinker sock on. Also, oh, my nose is itching. I got bugs, and the nose is itching. Professional videos, right? The leg, or the prosthesis itself, is very expensive, but so are the things that you need to go with it. So the compression sock, I think they're running about $10 each. And then they have these other socks, they just call them socks. They come in varying types of thicknesses. Some are thicker than others, and so if because your body changes from day to day, you can wear these other little socks, so just like a cotton sock that's shaped like the stump, to help fill in if you're feeling a little loose in that prosthetic. And they're expensive too, and you have to get those. You can't run to Walmart or places like that. As far as I'm aware, I haven't seen them at Walmart. You have to go to durable medical equipment, medical supply place to get those things, and they're not cheap. Also, even the parts. So the prosthesis comes in different parts. You have the basic prosthesis, which has a cup where the limb fits into, and then whatever is missing, that reconstructed part down here with the foot in our case. But there's a silicone like sleeve that attaches to that cup, and that attaches to another silicone sleeve that you actually wear on, kind of like another sock, to create that suction. And those pieces wear out, or in our case, we have a cat, so we have to be careful to make sure that she doesn't put a hole in it with her claws and things like that. And just to replace those pieces can be quite pricey. But we did find out there is an organization called Limbs for Life, and they helped finance the cost of getting this prosthesis, which is very helpful because we're actually still waiting on disability through Social Security. He hasn't been approved for that yet. So that Limbs of Life really has been very helpful because it's kept him mobile much quicker than if we had to wait for things to be covered through disability. Okay. Another thing we have to be really, really aware of, and me too, living with somebody like this, is tripping and falling hazards. So I like my little area rugs, but they're a no-no for us now because his leg can get caught in it and he can fall. And just, how easily it is to, say, leave a pair of shoes sitting somewhere instead of putting them away. Those type of things, if he doesn't see them, it's very easy to fall. So got to be a little bit more aware. And not just that, but the wheelchair is still, hi, you can come and do this. I'm just recording. Today's a good day to burn leaves. So my friend here where I'm recording, she's putting leaves on her burn pile. And she kind of hesitated. But we're just going to let her do her thing while I do mine. So yeah, the wheelchair is now a necessary piece of equipment that we have in our house. It's part of our furniture now. Sometimes I sit in it, but it's really there for him because you can't wear that prosthesis all the time. And actually in the beginning, you kind of have to work your way up to longer and longer periods of time. So they may only start you out in the beginning for, say, maybe an hour, and then you have to take it off, put the shrinker sock back on, and wait till the next day. And then the next day it might be an hour and a half, and like that. But you may have days or things that'll come up, and I'll explain that to you in just a minute, where you can't wear the prosthesis, and so the wheelchair is going to be necessary. And which brings me to the other thing, on those days when he can't wear the prosthesis, if he's not getting around in the wheelchair, the other option he has is to crawl. And so keeping the floor clean, just because he's crawling on it kind of like a baby, or sometimes he crawls just on his knees and he's upright, but he's just crawling around just on his knees. And how nasty could that be if you got a dirty floor that you have to crawl around on all the time? But not just that. In his case, he's a diabetic, so he's prone to infections. That's how he ended up with this amputation to start with. So I try to keep the floor as clean as possible because I don't want him to get something in his knee and get an infection from that, because that could lead to even more amputation or worse. But this is another thing. We never even thought about this, but this piece that goes over his leg inside the socket of the prosthesis, it's silicone, and he's a hairy guy. Might be a little different for women because we like normally shave anyway, but he gets a lot of ingrown hairs. And also there's an issue with, like when I was telling you, if it's not snug enough, you put these socks on to fill it in, but if there's rubbing in there, it's kind of like getting a blister on your heel. And these are a problem twofold. For one, he's a diabetic, so he's prone to these infections, but the other problem is that there's no air in this piece that goes over his leg that before he puts the prosthesis on. So, he sweats in there. It gets wet. It's dark. It's a good place for bacteria to grow. So, really trying to be very hyper vigilant and very aware of any kind of rubbing, blisters, ingrown hairs that might get infected. All of those kind of things are something we really need to be conscious of and keep a good eye on. And then the last thing, I saved this for last because he's a guy and I'm a girl, but I know how guys use the toilet. And so the prosthesis has made it so that he can stand up again, which he can't do without the prosthesis. But the other thing that's kind of been a challenge for him, he was learned to adapt, is taking a shower. In our case, we have a shower with a low ledge on it, so it's pretty easy for him to get in. And then I have a very small bathroom, so we use a folding chair. It's a plastic folding chair that we just put in the shower for him that he can sit in to take his shower, and we have a hose so he can hose himself off. But taking a shower has been a new experience as well. So those are the things that we've learned. There's probably more, but those are the ones that came to my mind. I just wanted to let people know about it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, please put them down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.